Howdy folks, how it's going? Welcome to the brewery. Today, knocking up a batch that I've been waiting to do, and I think a lot of people are probably keen to see how this goes, and that's knocking up a lager. But the main thing is I'm using the new Novalager yeast from Laumond, part of their brew premium series. This is a new hybrid lager. This is sort of just hit the market in the last sort of week, or from now. It's going to be a little bit longer once you actually see this video. But a lot of people have been keen to see how this fella goes. Been a lot of talk about it. It's taken a while to get to Australia in little single packets. It's been available for about probably maybe 2 months, 6 weeks, but only in 500 gram bricks, which we're retailing for I think like $295. So that was a little bit beyond the the means of most home brewers. So we've been waiting eagerly for the packets to arrive. And they dropped about 2 weeks ago. I banged onto mine pretty quickly for Josh up there at Makes Rates Home Brew Supplies, and I've got 7 packets. I'm sharing these with the beer monsters. These turned up like the day after everybody took off. I was hoping they were going to arrive before they left, and I could have given a pack each, but no. So it's a pack going out to each of the beer monsters. I've got this one pack I'm going to use today. It leaves me 2 packets, which at the moment will hopefully be at least one Patreon prize for the month, and I'm just contemplating whether I could give a packet for myself at the moment, but that will depend on how supply seems in the coming weeks, whether I give that other packet away or whether I hold on to it myself. I feel that once the initial crazy rush is over, which it's like at the moment, and everyone's selling out really quick, I think it'll settle down. This will become just a little bit more readily available, I hope. But anyway, so that's what we're using today. So what I'm doing is just a simple half batch, 12 litres, running through the Nano 50 litre, full volume, brew in a bag, single infusion mash. Nice and simple. A simple lager, just so I can see how this goes. I'm going to pitch this dry because that's how most people are going to use it. I'm only pitching 1 pack on that yeast because it does say on that yeast on the batch, because the pitching rate quoted is half to 1 gram a litre. So basically the same as your standard sort of ale yeast. So 12 litre batch, 11.5 grams of that's 1 gram a litre. It's good enough for me. I'm going to run with that. I want a true indication of how this yeast performs in a normal situation. I was initially, when I was getting this, I was wanting to do a split batch and do half with like 3470 at proper lager temps, all that sort of stuff, with a decent sort of lagering period, and compare the two. But that's just one. It's going to be a little bit too time consuming because it's going to take a while to get a normal lager out. And the other option problem I have is in just under 2 weeks I'm going in to have a hernia operation. So that means I won't be lifting anything of any weight for probably 4 weeks. So that means I can't be playing around moving fermenters and things around and whatnot for a little while. So that meant in this time, and because that's only just come out like in the last week, I've suddenly got that date. So that's ruled out that option. So I'm thinking I'm just going to brew this half batch. I can get it done, I can get it out of the fermenter before my operation. So when I come back from the operation, I'll be able to actually taste it. So the plan is that within 4 weeks of today, I'll be able to brew and taste this lager and see how it goes. And that is what it's intended to do, to be a quick, well, not necessarily quick, but a quicker way of brewing lager without all the lager drama. Now, I've done some research on this. I've delved into the beyond just the basic, bits and pieces that most brewers are going to go and look at, and I've gone into the science behind it. And as much as it's not going to really worry most of you guys, but let's have a quick touch on it. Essentially, they've isolated lager yeast is, as it sits, I'm not going to go into scientific terms and all the rest, let's keep this nice and simple. There are two parts of a standard lager yeast, and the percentage of that lager yeast varies from strain to strain. Example, in a 3470 those two components are 50-50. In some other yeast strains it will be 25-75. That 25 or 50% component is the actual yeast strain itself. Now, what they've done is they have isolated the same yeast strain through a different source, which isn't the standard, to a point where they're actually able to isolate it individually from this other source at a purity of 99.5%, or a genetic, structure that's, so it's pretty much exactly the same yeast. It's not quite the same. And again, this is why they're calling it a hybrid yeast. Okay. So they're using a non-traditional method and a non-traditional source to get the yeast strain. So what that means is this actual packet is a 75-25% ratio. Now, effectively what that means is that there is more of the component of the yeast which does the fermentation and less of the component that creates the typical flavours or the off flavours within the yeast ferment that take time to eradicate. So, mainly that sulphur note, which is a big one, and things like diacetyl and DMS, yes, but diacetyl and the sulphur particularly. So this yeast produces almost undetectable notes of sulphur compared to a normal lager yeast. It ferments a little bit quicker initially at the same sort of temps, and it can go a little bit higher supposedly without any impact. They do say they recommend 12 to I think 18 as the range, but they recommend 12 to 15 is ideal. So you still need to be fermenting in a lager sort of range, but it ferments a lot quicker and it finishes a lot quicker, and it doesn't need that increase in temperature for the de-rest, to get rid of all those compounds, and it doesn't need as long cold conditioning to get rid of those compounds as well, because it doesn't create them in the first place. The offset to that is this potentially can attenuate a little bit higher, not much but a little bit, but it doesn't flocculate as well. Where most lager yeast is rated as a high flocculator, this is only rated as a medium flocculator. So it does mean it's a little bit less effective at getting a nice bright beer, and you need to do a little bit of work to get that. So your beer will require, or supposedly will require, fining and/or a good cold crashing method, and probably a little bit of both to get nice and clear like you do with a traditional lager yeast. But that on its own works well with the modern lager, where there is a little bit of more commonplace to get a little bit of dry hopping and stuff and get a little bit more haze into the beer. That is another part of this as well. It can impart a little bit of biotransformation within the brew again, so that can contribute to a little bit of haze in the beer with the hops. So yeah, it's certainly got different characteristics from your standard lager yeast. So it's not just they're going bang, you can drop this and you're going to get the same characters as lager yeast. You're going to get different characters, which again is why I'm not too concerned about doing a direct side by side, because it's not going to, this isn't competing with 3470 in the kind of beer it's going to create. This is going to create different beer. The question is this making beer that is, that is going to work flavour wise and have the properties that we're looking for as brewers to go, okay, that's an acceptable lager. And that's what we're testing. So let's go over. Water's ready to go, mash is ready to go. I've got the grains all milled up. Let's go over, get the mash on, we'll talk about what grains are in there. Righto, so we're ready to mash in. Put our water, we've got about 22.5 litres. Added all our additions as per the recipe, which link will be down the bottom. Just looking for a basic sort of a lager. So we can let the yeast do its thing so we can stand up. But at the same time, we still want to have a beer I'm going to be able to bloody drink. So I have 85% Joe White Pilsner malt, 9% biscuit, and 6% Carapils. So it's just going to give us a fairly easygoing lager, just a little bit of, hopefully just a touch of bready character from the biscuit, and we should pick a bit of that up from the malt as well. So I want a little bit of interest, so I can obviously if I can drink it. We just lost the camera. Hopefully not permanently. Yes, I want to be able to drink it, but also it needs to be light enough that we can see what this bloody Novalager is going to do. So I'm going to run this for 60 minutes at, it's running about 64.5, 65 degrees, and then after an hour I'm going to run it up to 75. Single infusion, brew in a bag. There's going to be no sparge on this, so I'm going to use that higher mash out temp to get us through that sort of range. And I'm circulating this pretty hard, and I'm hoping we're going to get all the movement through the grain bed, and that'll get us plenty of rinsing of the sugar, so we don't need to worry too much about not having that sparge. But so we'll leave this go for now. We'll check on it before the end, so we'll see how it's travelling. Righto, we're now in. I've just changed temp to 75, so straight that big mash out. Going to get a quick gravity read and see where we're travelling. Now, I gave this a mash, made the mash good stir about halfway through, half an hour in. I haven't touched it since. I'm just going to get a sample. I'm going to give it another good stir, then we'll just let it sit. She's running nice and clear at the moment. Now, see where we're travelling here. It's 10:38. I think I'm only looking for about a 10:33 pre-boil. So we're I don't know, something like that. Anyway, we're travelling along all right. So I'm going to give this a bit of a stir, and we'll keep it going. And we'll go and sit down and have a quick chat about some hops. Righto, so while that mash is finishing up, let's talk some hops. And I'm keeping this one fairly simple, but because we are looking, I said we're looking at this yeast from this new modern sort of a vibe. I'm not going to go with the traditional hops. I'm going for something a bit more modern. So what I'll be using is Solero. Now, if you've watched videos recently where I've used Solero in some brews, I've commented where I think it would be a really good hop to use in a new lager. So I've been wanting to do that, so killing two birds with one stone. So shout out to Kev Bristol from the Hopping Mechanism for, as always, or not Royal Hops, but for these hops particularly. So what I'm going to do, 90-minute boil, because I want to make sure we've got no DMS. Joe White Pilsner malt, I'm not convinced it's going to be highly modified. I'm not confident it's modified enough to get rid of any of that DMS precursor. So I'm going to do a 90-minute boil. 60-minute addition of Solero, 9 grams for 22 IBU, and then 7 grams at 10 minutes to go for another 6. So looking at 28 IBU all up. So a nice, decent little bit of punch there from the hop. And I think we're going to go. I think that's going to go quite nicely. So yeah, I'm going to get them measured up, and we'll get these. Well, I said it's got to come to a boil and everything yet, but we'll have a look when I pull the bag, and we'll see how we're travelling, and we'll work our way to that. Righto, that's mash done. So let's get the pump off. And switch the element directly to power. Need heating up, so we're avoiding temp controller is off. It's done its job. And I've remembered to leave the gloves off till I get the clips undone. Hey, I'm fucking learning. Hey, all these years of brewing and I'm still learning stuff. Still remembering things. Anyway, we're looking pretty good here. So, just going to rip this bag straight out. I've not touched it since we did the stir at the start of the mash out. So it's just been going for half an hour. Well, ran for half an hour, including the ramp to 75. So it's probably done about, maybe 20 minutes at 75. I've got a bit of a squeeze. I said I'm not rinsing this. Let that go. I'm going to check the volume. Looks like about 18 litres in there by the looks of it. So I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but we'll see. So let us go for a while. We'll come back when I don't know. When we come back and look at the transfer. Actually, no, we've got some things to get. We'll come back and have a look when the first hops are going in, and I'll update you on the volume and gravity at that point. Righto, we're 30 minutes through the boil, 60 minutes to go, so our 60-minute addition is going in. Solero, 9 grams, I just saw I've just put in a little bit of boiling water. As I said earlier, that 18 litres is well under. I've gone through it, for some reason I don't know why, but the absorption rate on the settings in Brew are not actually calculating correctly. There should have been around a 2.1, 2.2 litre absorption rate, and it's only calculated 1.2. So it's way off. So I've added some extra water in to get us back closer to where we should be looking for the boil. So gravity still seems a little bit up. I think this should balance this out. So hopefully we'll win bit there and we'll see how we go. But again, I'm not particularly concerned about exactly where gravity finishes up. If it's in the ballpark, we're going to get a beer of, you know, good enough strength to work with. It's all about getting to the end, getting to that yeast. So let this go. We'll come back soon. Righto, 10-minute hops, 7 grams of Solero, got some yeast nutrient, and half a well flock. In they go. Volume's getting a little lowish here. 15 now, still around the mark. So I'm going to go now get the chiller, get what I can of it into here. It's going to be difficult. Not much room to play with, but anyway, we'll get it done. We'll come back soon. We'll have a look at final numbers. Righto, transfer done. We've got 12 and a smidge litres, so we're bang on. So we're on target. So a little bit extra at the end of the boil. It's got us on the volume. I've dragged a bit of crud through just at the end of the transfer, just to get the last of it out. I'm not too concerned about that. You can see nice colour, nice fairly clear wort. We're sitting on about 29 degrees, can't get it any cooler with the water, so I'll just get this into the fridge for a couple of hours before I fix yeast on it. I'm thinking I'm well over target gravity. I was thinking I was still a litre under on the volumes, and I mentioned that a little bit earlier, so we were well over gravity. So let's have a look where we went to be. Yeah, target's 1045. I've got, it says 1050, we're at 20. Oh, it's settling around 30 degrees either way. So if we hit, let's get temperature, so it's it's 1050, temperature's 30. So it's actually given us 1053. Sorry, let's see. Yeah. So it's 1052, 1053, should be 1045, so we're well over volume. So we've got way better than expected efficiency, but that's not, that's here nor there with this brew, because it's not really what we're after. So, but at 1053, that's going to get a bit stronger than what, but anyway. Yeah, it's a terrible issue to have a bit stronger, but given that, yeah, that's alright, we'll run with that. At the 28 IBU, it will handle that alright. So we'll leave it be. So, I said, 1 pack of the Novalager will go on this. And I said, I'll fill this up in a minute, get in the fridge, get it cooling down. I'll pitch this yeast probably later tonight. It's 5:30 now. This one we need a couple of hours in the fridge and she'll be down to, well, it's not going to get down to exactly ferment temp, but it'll get down to close enough where I can pitch it, get down that 20 mark where I can pitch it. Yeah, this is happy at 20, so I'll pitch there. Won't take that long to get down to the 13 that I'm fermenting at. So plan is to ferment this fella for 7 days at 13 degrees and then cold crush for 2. So there's going to be no diacetyl rest, no de-rest at all, no ramping up the temperature. Going to let this yeast just do its thing and see how it performs. May do some further testing down the track on how there's better ways for using it, but this is how it's meant to work and this is what it's designed for. This is how it's been created and this is what it's supposed to do. So that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be a total of 9 days and we'll get into the keg. As I said, it'll then sit for a couple of weeks while I recover from the operation. Then we should be set to drink it and get her underway. So all is good. So yeah, if you got any comments, questions, as always, stick them down the bottom. Thumbs up. Yeah, big shout out to all the Patreons and the subscribers, all the supporters of the channel. Thank you very much for that very much support. So let's get this out of here so I can get a bit of a taster on this wort. Okay, it's got a nice little edge on it. See, it's just in the hoppy. I think it's from the grain, from the biscuit, but that's looking all right. I'm pretty happy with that. So that's her, guys. I said, Novalager modern hybrid lager yeast, trial brew. Exactly what this beer is doesn't matter. That's going to be the star. So I'll see you in hopefully 4 weeks to get our first taster on this. So until then, when we're brewing beer, drinking beer or talking beer, good brewing.